If you see the words Maria Ozawa on the tags in this video, I swear it's not clickbait. Nilalang, also known by its English title The Entity, is directed by Pedring Lopez, written by Dennis Empalmado, and stars Cesar Montano, Meg Imperial, and yes, Maria Ozawa. Nilalang focuses on NBI agents Tony and Jane, played by Cesar Montano and Meg Imperial respectively, as they investigate a series of killings that seems to be connected to some ancient Japanese book. And the demon, and Maria Ozawa plays some woman in a Japanese gang that's also has to do with the killings, I think. Look, real talk, I watched this movie because I'm a heterosexual male under the age of 25 and I know who Maria Ozawa is, and I just had this hilariously morbid curiosity and fascination with the fact that we got her to be in an MMFF movie. And when the trailer came out for this movie, we were all like, wow, this actually looks really cool. And yes, Nilalang looks fantastic, but it's ultimately just a really, really dumb movie that makes zero sense, but it's a lot of fun. It has guilty pleasure written all over it. First of all, let's just get this out of the way. Yes, this movie attempts to create a bit of mystery around the killings that are happening, but the procedural elements in the movie almost completely lack any sense of mounting tension. It doesn't really feel like they're actually doing an investigation. Like, this movie spends way too much time on like character building moments that don't actually build any character, and just spends way too long on certain scenes that just don't serve the movie in any way. There's a scene where Maria Ozawa takes off her top and she starts making out with Cesar Montano, and it has nothing to do with anything, and there's no nudity in the movie, so like, don't expect anything if you watch this movie just for that reason, you naughty boy. And in general, the movie just really meanders from place to place, and it at certain points just gets confusing about like as to where these characters actually are, because there's a scene where they end up in some sort of Yakuza temple, and I'm thinking, are they in Japan? Because I'm pretty sure there's no Yakuza temple in the Philippines. If there is, please tell me where it is because I want to see it. But really, the biggest issue here is that the story just makes zero sense whatsoever. I mean, just even the lore behind Zahagor, whatever the demon's name is, it's so empty. Like, there's no backstory to like the main threat in this movie. So, the demon himself is really boring. And when Tony finally finds a way to defeat him, like, it's really, really vague. They don't ever actually use the book that much. And Zahagor's powers are just so undefined. I mean, they establish the fact that he can possess people's bodies and he can make them kill themselves, but Tony and the others like run into him so many times that I don't know why that demon just doesn't go into their bodies and kill them. And as good as the visuals in this movie look, it's the world that these visuals create just is all style. There's no substance inside. And the characters, my god. Tony is this hilarious attempt to make a macho lead a la James Bond, complete with the total emotional vacancy. Like, there are scenes when something bad happens to Tony or something bad happens to someone Tony's close to, and he mourns for like, I guess, one scene, and then he goes back to just making out with other women. And all the other characters really just don't have any actual personality. I mean, there are relationships between these characters that are suggested and hinted at, but those are all shrugged off kind of immediately, and everyone is reduced to just their jobs. And this movie is just full of unintentionally funny dialogue. It's just, there's so many cringeworthy things coming out of people's mouths, especially when they try to speak in a different language. Cesar Montano seems to be trying his best here, but he plays the macho card so much that he ends up being just a really boring person to watch. And I really wish Meg Imperial had more screen time in this movie, had more to do, because I love Meg Imperial, and she just doesn't really get to distinguish herself that much with the time she has. And Maria Ozawa, I'm sorry to her fans out there, but she's just kind of painful to watch when she's trying to act, especially when she speaks in a language that isn't Japanese. Like, it's really difficult. In fact, there is stilted dialogue everywhere whenever people try to speak in a language that isn't their primary language. And Pedring Lopez seems to be caught between making this movie like fun in a comic book way and making it overly serious and edgy, so the result is something that's unintentionally funny, and it doesn't help that the action scenes aren't well choreographed either. But of course, on the plus side, number one, this movie sounds great, complete with a cool soundtrack and gross sounding like squishing when people's faces are getting cut off, although like the violence here never really gets that graphic. And number two, this movie just looks amazing. We're talking masterful cinematography, great use of lighting and neo-noir-ish colors, visual effects that I swear are sometimes on par with Japan's visual effects, really cool production design, and extremely convincing makeup. Again, people's faces getting sliced off looks really cool and looks like top of the level Comic-Con cosplay stuff, and that's a compliment. But that does not save a movie, and I'm forced to say that Nilalang is still not a good movie. But it's really fun, like I said, in a really cheesy way. I could actually see this turning into a graphic novel or a comic book series of sorts, just anything that'll allow them to flesh out this world a bit more. Then I think it'll be a much better guilty pleasure for a lot more people. Alright, so those are my thoughts on Nilalang. Have you guys seen it? What do you think about it? Whether you agree with me or not, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.